Monday Night Chat with Wong Chen.
Brought to you by the Member of Parliament for Subang.
Welcome to Monday Night Chat. I think this is episode 4 of the new season. We have yet to name the season as what I said last week. This week we're going to have Monday, Policy Monday. We're going to have this week in Parliament, and then lastly the 120 seconds. I've been told by the staff to make it more fun. I'll try my best. Okay, Policy Monday, we're revisiting the issue about minimum wage. I mean, it's got a bit of traction. What I understand was about at the early stage of the new government, if I remember correctly, Wong Chen, who is now, who was then a special officer to the Minister of Finance, said that minimum wage will not be implemented anytime soon, and that they're going to look at the numbers. And then, of course, about a week plus ago, we had the YB Kulasegaran, the Minister of Labour. He's been pushing very hard for minimum wage, and it has started a whole new debate on whether we should do it or not. Yeah. So this Policy Monday, we're going to talk about revisiting minimum wage. My position has always been for minimum wage. Let me explain why. Yeah, for the sake of the skeptics and the business community out there who don't really want to have minimum wage or increase in minimum wage to 1,500. Okay, let's start with the basic numbers. How many people are now in the minimum wage regime of 1,000 ringgit per month? The number is actually quite low. It's not 5 million people or 3 million people. It is roughly 300,000. Yeah, we know this because we actually crunch a model, and this includes, by the way, part-time people that work 6 hours in McDonald's or doing things like delivery part-time and stuff like that. So the estimated number is 300,000 only. So how much will it cost? If we, under the Pakatan Harapan model, we said that we would pay 50%. So if we want to increase to 1,500, right, we have to increase 250 from the government side and 250 from the private sector side or the employer side. Okay? So how much will this cost the federal government? It will cost the federal government roughly 300,000 people times 250 ringgit increase a month times 12 months. That's basically 900 million. 900 million a year to increase minimum wage to 1,500, which means the entire business sector or employers, including government employers, government as an employer, have to fork out 900 million too. Okay? That is the situation. There are no, as far as I know, there are 0 public servants earning less than 1,500 at the moment. Okay? So there is not going to be any more significant increase on the federal government side or the state government side. What you're going to see is basically the private sector coming out 900 million, we come out 900 million. Of course, it's true. If you increase minimum wage to 1,500, those people currently earning 1,200 or 1,400 will need an increase as well. Of course, it goes up, but at the point, once it goes up to about 2,000 plus area, it doesn't need to increase anymore. So the bill may be higher than 900 million if I give you the benefit of doubt, right? And if I say, okay, it may cost us 3 billion as the numbers stagger upwards, okay? 3 billion. What is 3 billion in the context of Malaysian government and the context of 3 billion in the context of the earning capacity of corporations, okay? The budget is 280 billion a year. 3 billion is roughly 1% or 1.2%, okay? Eliminating GST, putting SST costs us 22 billion. Let's see the context of the real picture, right? Therefore, increasing the minimum wage, therefore staggering up the lower income slightly. Say if you're making 1,200, you could be making 1,700, right? Just staggering up a little bit only costs 3 billion a year. Now, is 3 billion a year a lot for the companies to pay themselves? Let's look at the numbers. Companies pay income tax, corporate income tax, 70 billion a year. Corporate income tax rate is 25%, 26%. For sake of calculation, it's very simple. You just multiply 4 to be the gross profit of corporations. 70 billion times 4 is 280 billion. The corporations of Malaysia made 280 billion gross profit in 1 year. 3 billion represents roughly 1% of their gross profit. And if you tell me corporations feel, oh, I'm so hard done by to fork out 3 billion to pay the poorest workers that we have, or that it must be linked to some sort of productivity argument, then I think you're just being heartless. Yeah? You just don't care. Because for us, policymakers, we strongly believe that you need to pay people fairly. If you don't pay them fairly, and I see this as a Member of Parliament for 5 years in Kelana Jaya, where we have the more prosperous Subang Jaya, but definitely very poor people in Desa Mentari, Desa Ria, earning minimum wage. At 1,000 ringgit a month minimum wage, two working person, the husband and wife or father and mother, cannot sustain a family of 4 and 2,000 a month living in KL. So what happens effectively is you're destroying the future of their children, where you diminish their prospect of getting better job, better education, better health, just better everything, right? Because their parents are earning minimum wage. So what will happen in 15 years when they become adults? We have to inherit a social problem, higher crime, low-paid workers, non-productive workers. The children's future is diminished tremendously because we, the Malaysian government, couldn't be bothered to fork out 3 billion a year, and corporate Malaysia couldn't be bothered to fork out 1% of your gross profit a year. So please, we want to debate this. Let's have an open debate, but let's not fool ourselves to think that minimum wage is about 100% about productivity. If you pay someone better, automatically productivity will increase by itself. Okay? Let's not say, no, let's show me 30% productivity, then I pay you 30% more. Or alternatively, you can just say, okay, we'll just leave it the way it is, let the market decide. And what does the market decide means? Suppressing workers' rights, not allowing them to form trade union, is not free market. You go to any Western country or any proper democracy in the world, the workers have a right to strike, a right to form unions, a right to do a lot of things, to demand for better wages. Okay, if you don't want the federal government to set a minimum wage which is fairer to people, maybe Kuala Segaran should just say, look, let the trade union do it. And then let the financial oppression of the workers be decided by us allowing them freedom, their rights under International Labour Organization standards, ILO standards, workers' rights, fundamental workers' rights, let it decide what should be a fair wage via a system of, adversarial system of strikes, threats, walkouts. Do you want that? Or do you want us to come back to the drawing board and ask 1% from the private sector employees and 1% from the government to actually pay our brothers and sisters a fair wage so that their children have a brighter future in a new Malaysia? So please do not get too emotional about it. I do get worked up about this because I think it's the single most important subject matter Malaysians have to do. Yeah? So new Malaysia should take a better approach. It should take an approach where we are more caring and definitely committed to at least social reform and social justice for the people. This week in Parliament, we had a busy week as usual. On Monday, we had the ministers replying to the King's speech. The members of Parliament, the new members of Parliament were delivering their maiden speeches. I had to sit out, of course, to enable them the space and time to speak. And the ministers took their time to reply to them. But on Monday is a big day for our office. We hosted the Facebook team from the US, one from London, and then there was one from Singapore, and one a local manager here. These are the policy makers for Facebook. They came to give their position and their reply regarding the anti-fake news bill, and also regarding the issue about Cambridge Analytica data and stuff like that. We had a good session, a new record for members of Parliament attending this kind of hosting. Usually this kind of hosting will attract between 5 to 10 people. We had 45 MPs, so it was a great thing. We had a good day, and we had to thank PKRU for their efforts in organizing the event. So on Tuesday, the SST debate started. There are 5 SST bills, and the debates are all about, related to SST, the sales and service tax that we want to introduce, and also at the same time have to repeal the GST. I represented PKR to defend the government's position, Tony Pua spoke for DAP first, and then I followed by speaking on behalf of PKR. My speech about 60 minutes. I'm sure some of you would have seen it on Facebook. We've put up the post. But essentially, I asked and called the government to keep a quarterly report on the status of the SST, because we are worried while most of the products will be exempted, about 5,000 plus of the products will be exempted, there are some products that may see price rises, so we need to track carefully, and the minister need to exercise his discretion to ensure that overall prices of goods actually drops. Yeah. In addition to that, Tuesday was busy for me as well, because Anne Hung, Her Excellency Anne Hung, the new ambassador to Taiwanese ambassador to Malaysia, they call it the Taipei, I think, Business and Cultural Office or something like that. They visited us, a courtesy call to me, and then I introduced Dr. Tan Yi Q to her, and we had a great time talking about bilateral issues, and also giving her a short tour of Parliament, and then followed by a lunch with me at the Lake Club. On Wednesday, we had the service tax vote, so that was important and lasted a long time. But Wednesday was another very big day for us. We were invited by the Norwegian ambassador to her residence. So I arranged for YB Dato Johari, YB Rono Kiandi, the UMNO Sabah's former deputy speaker, Alice Lau from DAP, the deputy whip of DAP, my good friends Tuan Sai, member of parliament, and also member of parliament Nick Nazmi. The six of us attended the briefing by the Norwegian embassy, where we were given a thorough explanation on the committee stage system that Norway uses, and that is absolutely important. I'll talk about that very soon in probably next week's Policy Monday. On Thursday, we had, as usual, the SST bills are winding down. The minor bills on custom and free trade is coming in. And the only real highlight of the day was really about Kinabatangan using his F word, swearing, and the fact that the speaker has decided to let it go, and that to give a final warning on the issue. That is basically this week in Parliament. Hi, we're here to do the 120 seconds Q&A. We're trying to do a more relaxed style apparently. So here we go. Start the number snake. Okay, first question. Kinabatangan swearing in Parliament, he used the F word. The Deputy Speaker was a bit too soft on him, in my opinion. And as a result, the Speaker came back but didn't do much. I think a lot of people are a bit upset. I don't think members of Parliament can get away by using the F word and then running away and just say apologize and get away with it. Okay. Number two, the 18 billion misused as claimed by Lim Guan Eng. I think the issue is quite interesting. What is important now is if there's 18 billion missing or misused, I think Guan Eng should file a police report as soon as possible, and also to assess how does the actual money move from consolidated account to GST refund. Those things need to be resolved carefully. Now, the position of UEC that you take 5 years later, come on Pakatan, you must do better than that. I think 5 years later is a bit too long. I think if you need to explain to people why UEC is unacceptable or acceptable, or whatever position you're in UEC, you must be able to sort it out within 1 year, maximum 2 years. Okay? Now, a lot of people responded to my notice on the issue of BTN, where the minister said they will keep BTN, but promised somehow that the BTN is not going to be abused and that it's going to be used to foster national unity. Okay, fine, we listen, we hear you. If the minister says that this is the position, the new Malaysia position, then tell us, what is it, the curriculum of BTN? What exactly is being taught? At least send us the PowerPoint. What is it that you're telling the judges to do? Because we don't want the old system, we want a complete, comprehensive new curriculum that actually helps Malaysia. Okay, lastly, a softer question. How am I doing as a backbencher now? Well, it's quite fun actually. Because for us, we're a bit lost, I suppose. I'm personally a bit lost at the moment, because we can't criticize the government, and we're so used to criticizing the government. So we are now defending the government, but I think it's important to defend the government and at the same time tell the government that it is also important that they carry out the reforms. So a soft approach, and yet we try our best to inform the government, you must do better. Okay? So that's it for Q&A 120 seconds this week.